All right,
Hi
go
hi,
for it.
everyone. My name is Stony. I almost accidentally entered the Salesforce world, I think 12-ish years ago. I was running a consultancy in London. We, of course, had Salesforce. We had Xero, which is a popular accounting system in the UK and Australia. And we were like, why can't we see our invoices in Salesforce? And it seemed like such an easy question. And every time someone had a question about the invoices, the few people with a finance login had to log in. I was like, there must be a better solution. And we built it. It was a lot harder than I thought it was for anyone who thinks they want to build a managed package and go live on the App Exchange. It is exciting, but it was a heck of a lot of work. But we got out there and we had one object and nothing else. And then people said, can you do this? Can you do this? And we added more and more. Then we added QuickBooks Online. Then we added QuickBooks. Then we added NetSuite, and it kept on going from there. And before I knew it, I kind of found myself as, again, the accidental CEO of this app building company, I guess. And I'll share my screen if I can figure out where the share screen button is.
Middle
Here
bottom.
we go. So yeah, so that's we are Breadwinner, and we connect to Salesforce to finance software. I won't do too many slides because I know they're not people's favorite thing on the planet. But the one thing I do want to pause on is when you're doing finance integration, as a Salesforce admin, as a Salesforce consultant, whatever you're doing, you probably can't approach it the same way you approach your MailChimp integration or your Eventbrite integration. And the reason for that is because the finance person needs to be the gatekeeper of whatever gets into their system. And even if you're not paranoid, the finance person is paranoid. And the reason they're paranoid is you are putting in data that they are legally responsible for. And to give you an example, it'd be very understandable for a salesperson to think, oh, this invoice is inaccurate. Let me change something. Let me do something as minor as changing the invoice date. And that minor change does actually have tax consequences. If the finance person doesn't know, they're going to be incredibly unhappy about that, to put it mildly. So when you're dealing with finance systems, and I also say, if you were hired to integrate with MailChimp and you came back and you said, I've got 98.5% accuracy, it's like, actually for MailChimp, that seems pretty good. If someone says, I put your data in your finance system with 98.5% accuracy, you're like, this is not going to work. So everything changes when the IRS at the end of the day is the kind of person who's going to be double checking your work, so to speak. And why do people even want to connect sales to finance? Well, just most of your people are going to be living in Salesforce. Very few people are going to have access or should have access to the finance systems, but they're still going to have all sorts of questions. Invoices, overdue, suppliers, payments, commission, everything might involve that finance data. So why not bring it into Salesforce as native data? This is what we claim about Breadwinner. A lot of the other tools out there might be either ETLs or Zapier or anything that kind of has a recipe approach. And I'm not old enough to remember putting together my daughter's bicycle, but for those of you who can think back to your parents on Christmas Eve, if they've ever kind of tried to assemble a bicycle, this is kind of more of a 60s and 70s and 80s thing. Usually written in a foreign language and they can't even read, and they're cursing and drinking eggnog as they're trying to put your bicycle together. Nowadays, you just buy the bike and it just works and you get it out of the box. And both Matt and happily Todd are customers of Breadwinner. They can give you their own opinion of it. I'm looking forward to hearing from them later. But this is what we try to do, is we try to provide an experience that just works. This is where Breadwinner lives. It lives between Salesforce, and if you can't read all those logos on the right, here they are in text format. So we have a dedicated accounting app for NetSuite. We have a dedicated accounting app for QuickBooks. It does online and desktop, a dedicated app for Xero, and we're even considering seeing if we can get Intact done by late 2021. As for payment processes, that's just one app, and we're basically going to eventually build in everything, but we have right now those 5 that are listed there. I always thought that the salespeople spent too much time on the slideshow, so I'm tempted just to dive in, and I would reemphasize what Mark initially said. Please interrupt, because if I'm just blabbing away for minutes, you guys are going to be terribly bored. Okay, so I'll show you the NetSuite org, I'll show you the QuickBooks org, and I'll also show you the Xero org. All of these things that I'm going to show you are generally achievable in under an hour of total work. So you would install Breadwinner from the App Exchange. When you install it, depending on which app you install, you will get a bunch of tabs across the top. And when you connect to your accounting org, which we do through the Breadwinner setup tab, we have a little walkthrough, and you can kind of tick off all the things as you're moving forward. But to be honest, once you've even done the second thing, sorry, it's taking a while to load. Salesforce is waking up. Once you've even done the second thing and connected to, here we go, the accounting system, we are pulling in all of your data. So I'll start with a typical NetSuite company. Hopefully I get one with a bunch of data on it. Let's take this one. So what we're looking at here is replicated data from NetSuite. We could even see that we checked just 2 minutes ago. So this is live as of 2 minutes ago in NetSuite. And we will try to bring in everything we possibly can, in this case, on this NetSuite vendor, including if they have any purchase orders or bills. I was actually looking forward to showing you invoices. So let's find, here they are, find an invoice. And great, we'll jump over to this NetSuite company. So as well as, of course, bringing in vendors, the more typical thing people want to see is their customers. And they want to ask a lot of questions like, okay, this NetSuite company, have we done any sales orders? Looks like a lot. Any item fulfillments, any invoices? And we can click through to all of this data. And this is what we're bringing in, for instance, from the sales order, everything that is in NetSuite Live. And we can even see an invoice was created. And without you having to lift a finger, all of this data is available. Now our integration is two-way. I'll show you the two-way in a second, but a lot of our customers will want it just for that one-way read only, so they can see all of this information. And this also allows you to start running reports on what has been sold, when has it been paid for, what are the discounts we're giving. You know, you can connect up a tremendous amount of data. By the way, has anyone here ever tried to integrate with Salesforce and NetSuite? Just speak up because I can't see if you're chatting. Okay, well, I'll take it as a maybe. One of the things that's really hard about NetSuite is the finance stuff. You've got multiple currencies, you've got multiple pricing levels, you've got multiple quantity tiers, and you possibly have a very complicated inventory situation where your products are scattered across different warehouses. This is one of the things that we're able to bring in without you having to lift a finger. We got a lot more, but I'll deal with that.
Okay, hey, this is Tony, this is Mohan. One question. So I see this, right? You're bringing in the data from NetSuite. Are you guys storing this information, or it's like just in a kind of a component where you guys are just displaying it on the Salesforce?
Excellent question. Thank you. Let's actually do that directly. So here we go on our NetSuite sales order. I always have to think hard. Question mark, no override equals true or 1. This is purely native Salesforce data. Everything you saw there can be reported on because it is native Salesforce data. The challenge is, and we found this based on user feedback, is if you give someone and say, here's your sales order, and you give it to them in kind of lightning 2-column format, it's really hard for them to make sense of this. And you're like, they're like, where's my line items? Where's my payments? And you're like, oh, go to the related list.
Salesforce is meant as a flexible tool. And obviously with a client that was picky, we'd have to create Visualforce pages for this. So in essence, Stony did that to make it look like the native QuickBooks, so it's easy to adopt.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of the nice things. No one ever actually says, where is this? For the item stuff you just saw, that's complicated. It's scattered across a couple objects, the only way to achieve it, but everything is there for you. So we just kind of put a pretty little frame around it because this is what people want to see. Their eyes go to it and they're like, oh, great. But otherwise you have to jump between detail and related, and then the related list only shows 4 things in Lightning. I kind of miss Classic sometimes. I hope this isn't being recorded.
Ooh.
Yeah, sure.
You can modify that.
If you're missing Classic, you got a lot to learn with Lightning. It's pretty, and not only is it pretty, it works way better. You can do
That's
more.
right. Once you get into Lightning, you would never say that.
Yeah,
right?
I have clients that have a sales order page like that without without needing to create a Visualforce page. The components are very flexible. So
It's true. It's true.
I would
But I
definitely
guess
recommend checking it out.
I merged my own personal org, so it doesn't have this jump between details related. I have the kind of Lightning Classic merge look. But anyway, it was a frustration for a lot of our customers because out of the box with Lightning, you only had 4 columns for the
Sure.
related list. And
Mhm.
that was one of the reasons we had to build the Visualforce pages. So any questions around this? I'm going to show you data creation in a second, but any questions on the data flowing in to Salesforce?
What are you using for an integration layer? Is it all custom, REST point to point, or, do you have like an actual product stuck in there doing this?
All of this is our own tech. For NetSuite,
Okay.
we had to write our own middleware layer itself. So
Mhm.
Salesforce makes a REST call to our own middleware layer, and then our own middleware layer will talk to NetSuite and either use their WSDL, which is I won't even go into it. It's a bit more
Yeah.
exciting than you want to be or boring, or their REST. And in fact, it's so complicated getting data out of NetSuite. We get data out of 3, if not 4 different ways. And that was the only way we could do it. So we had to build our own middleware for that.
Okay. I'll bet you that was an interesting part of
Yeah,
the project.
you throw a couple developer years at almost anything and you can get a bit of a result. Like for instance, in NetSuite, you can see the primary contact really easily. To get that out of the system using the API is virtually impossible. So we had to do things around that just to get the primary contact. So for anyone who's integrated with NetSuite, they know how hard it is, but I kid you not. You put this in a partial empty sandbox, you connect it to NetSuite, and you will be seeing this stuff almost immediately, including, another reason we did the Visualforce page, just to put font in red is kind of handy sometimes. So there we go.
What's the
Absolutely,
syncing
looks nice.
process like? I'm sorry. What's the syncing process like? So if someone makes an update in NetSuite, are they going to see it pretty quickly in Salesforce, or if you have the two-way, is it going to update in NetSuite, real time or close to it?
When something happens in NetSuite, it'll be back to Breadwinner. Customers can set it, but most customers keep it at 5 minutes. So we've got a maximum of 5 minutes delay to see that in Salesforce. And for anything that's initiated by Salesforce, it's instant. So if you were to go from Salesforce and to create a structure in NetSuite, estimate, product, customer, contact, who knows, who cares, we would create it in NetSuite live and we would replicate it back to Salesforce live. The entire process might take 1 to 3 seconds, if not longer, but it's, that's only pure API delay. A lot of the Boomi and Celigo customers, we hear reports that they will usually have an hour batch process, but we're entirely live.
That's critical.
Yeah. All right, so this is our NetSuite. Let's dive over to QuickBooks. So pretty much the same thing, but here I'll show you the creation process. So with NetSuite, it's not quite a self-service model. You could kind of do it. We recommend you do it with us. For Xero and QuickBooks, you could probably do this. Certainly if an admin or consultant, you can do this fairly straightforwardly. You install Breadwinner and you just kind of go through everything until all the checkboxes are green. We presume out of the box, you want to create invoices from opportunities. You can, of course, create invoices from any standard or custom object, but out of the box, it just imagines you want to create it from opportunities. So out of the box, what do we imagine? We imagine you have an invoice and your invoice has some products. And that's the only thing we really ask for. And again, if you're using a custom object, all we ask is that you have a custom object which either has some line items or something on the object which will let us create line items. So anyway, here you are in your opportunity and you say you want a new invoice. Now, we are completely aware that salespeople are probably not going to be that trained. They might be new in their career. They have no idea about laws and regulations around finance. They just want to get the invoice issued. So we built this wizard to kind of take away as much risk as possible. We ask a couple of questions, like could this be a sales receipt rather than an invoice? And if you have a more complicated structure where you might have multiple billing departments, we even allow you to have multiple QuickBooks entities against a single Salesforce customer. This, by the way, is completely required when you have QuickBooks hierarchy. So you could even do this to a sub company if you wanted to. We allow a one-to-many relationship. But 9 times out of 10 for our customers, there's only one QuickBooks customer per Salesforce account. Okay, so they get to this page and they're like, just imagine yourself as a novice salesperson. I don't know what to do. I'll click next. And we want that. We want it to be as easy as, I don't know what to do. It looks okay. I'll click next. And then we say, this is what we're about to create in QuickBooks Online. Your 3 opportunity products are right here. The rates and quantity you had is right here. If you want to, you can add a little message on your invoice, add other people to the auto email, anything else. But if you're happy with that, let's go ahead and just create that invoice in QuickBooks Online. And this is real time. We are sending this data to QuickBooks, and it's the same for NetSuite and Xero and everything else. We create it in QuickBooks Online, and we get the confirmation back. And so this is it. And a lot of people will say, okay, well, great, it's in Salesforce. How long before it's in QuickBooks or NetSuite? This is already in your accounting system. If you're looking at it through Breadwinner, it's already an accounting system. We only put replicated slave data in Salesforce. So this is there. I can even, if I cared, I could even tell you that the QuickBooks ID record for this was this one right there. So that's the invoice ID, 274. And if we were to go into QuickBooks and type that into the URL, you would actually see this thing for invoice 274 there. And this is the QuickBooks generated invoice number. So that's it. That's what a salesperson needs to create the invoice. And the salesperson may say, well, great, I need to download it. Okay, we can download that PDF directly from QuickBooks. This is not like Breadwinner is not trying to become Conga. This is the QuickBooks PDF that the accountant could provide, or they could even send the invoice as a PDF, and they could send it to anyone in the account, colleagues, anything else, using even email templates.
And I will say this email looks so much better than the QuickBooks email that's branded with QuickBooks all over it. Makes it so much easier. Was one of the things we really liked was that feature right there.
Cool.
You're able to see it in the QuickBooks template, the invoice, but in a much better email formatted fashion.
And actually, Todd, since you've even gotten this, we've added, I think, this feature. We now have grabbed the public link to the invoice. So you can even give people this link. And, oh, of course, this is a sandbox org, so it probably can't work. But if this was a production org as in yours, you could even copy that link and they will see that. Cool. Any questions around QuickBooks, QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online? I'll touch on Xero very quickly, if only to show you our free version. So we have a site license. We try to find a price that is appropriate for the customer based on the features they need and everything else. But when someone comes to us with just a few licenses, or maybe a professional org with 3 or 4 licenses, we're like, you know, we're not against taking your money, but we recognize this, you want a very affordable solution. So we're like, how can we build something that's free? So this is our free version, and we'd love it if everyone who had an accounting system that we integrate with in Salesforce used it. So let's take a look at our free version. What we don't do is we don't bring in all of the invoices. We do need to figure out a way to charge, you know, the paying customers for something. But here you are in a Salesforce account, and we've got this button here, show the 3 most recent invoices by invoice date. If you click on this, we'll make a live call to Xero or QuickBooks and actually show you, yeah, these are the 3 most recent invoices and they're overdue. You need to send that PDF to a customer? No problem. You can download it here. So they're not resident in Salesforce, they're just on the Visual Force page. So you can't run reports, but you can check what are the 3 most recent invoices. And in terms of the creation capability, let's say you're on an opportunity, you can still create an invoice. We don't copy over the line items. So that's another thing you don't get. You get this stuff, but you're going to have to fill in this stuff yourself, which is usually what people were doing anyway, except they would copy and paste this into an email to finance. Now you can actually create it directly yourself. So this would be, you know, 6 days consulting, something like that. By the way, we bring in all these stuff. So the amount of effort you have to do to make sure your revenue code is in Breadwinner, 0. I did not do that. Same thing for just about everything. We want it to be easy. Create draft invoice or approved, and bingo, there we go. We're like, we created that invoice successfully. you can even download it. So that's the entirely free forever version. Questions on that? I think then what might make sense is to turn this over to Matt, who has a dual life, and if we're very lucky, might even have cute pictures of kittens or puppies to show. But I don't want to put any pressure on him. And I don't think I knew that Todd was going to be coming. So maybe if Todd has anything to add after Matt, please feel free, Todd.
Absolutely. Let me grab the right screen here. Where is it? This is funny. Hold on, bear with me. I have like 80,000 screens. Okay, here we go. All right. So do I have pictures of cute puppies? So I'll just keep this slide up while I talk. So why is the director of Coastal Cloud a Salesforce implementation company talking about Breadwinner and dogs? So my wife is a holistic veterinarian in Jacksonville Beach. The company's name is Veterinary Acupuncture and Wellness. You can see it here. It's our website. And so much like you guys, I like solving problems and I love the power of Salesforce. So when it came time years ago for her to start her practice, she was a little different than the normal vet. And what I found about vet software is that a lot of it was on-prem, with like Stony with his stonewashed jeans and Ray-Bans and listening to Nirvana and back in the 90s. So anyway, all the software was back then too. And it slowly was moving
90s?
to the cloud. 90s, is it? Yeah. And it was slowly moving to the cloud, but it was clunky and expensive and not flexible. And I found a company that was doing cloud-based. And at the time, I had joined a company prior to my life at Coastal Cloud, and we had brought on Salesforce. And so I was becoming familiar with it. And then I realized that this person had white labeled Salesforce as a veterinary solution. And so I sent a few requests in to say, hey, this is Salesforce and Salesforce is adaptable. So can you make these changes because your product is kind of lacking? And it became apparent to me that this person had created a product years ago and was just sustaining it basically. So I thought, let's make this a weekend project. And much like Stony said, I found myself as the accidental, I wouldn't say CEO, but the burden is high when you decide to develop basically what became a medical record system for veterinary clinics. But it was a fun project, and much like you guys that are new to Salesforce, I would encourage you to try to create something, and module by module, and you will learn all kinds of things because you'll be faced with a challenge and you won't be able to sleep until you solve it. And you just want to fix your own challenges. So unfortunately, my wife is my boss in this one, so it's a little tougher. But I don't encourage that. But in any regards, so they, like many small businesses, use QuickBooks, and there are really very few options that are low cost and can do payroll and invoicing and billing and things like that. So it's not my favorite product, and I'll show you why. And what led me is you start to see reports like this. And so the first thing we do is we go to the export button. Immediately, because we can gain very little insights. Now, QuickBooks has some dashboards, but they're basically top line revenue, kind of, profit and loss and things like that. But you can't answer any questions in terms of what is the money doing versus the relationships, or these, you want to compare things. You want to set triggers to send an alert, like the inventory is low or something like that. So, or what is the practice doing from a performance standpoint, vet to vet, or day to day, or week to week, and compare no-shows, and all these other aspects of running a business you want to compare to your finances. And this is very common, right? So getting it all on one platform starts with getting it all on one spreadsheet, and then sitting there, staying up late doing analysis. And then you get into process improvement. So now you have swivel chairs going on. So we have one system that's your medical record system, your appointments and waiting lists and all that sort of thing. And then you have your other thing that's handling all your inventory and your money. And those two things get confusing, especially when you're running a small staff and they have to learn all these different systems. So the key to scale and sustainability, and as a business owner to gain insight, you need it all on one platform. You really do. And so I started writing an integration with Workato between QuickBooks and Salesforce, because to me, it's the only thing that I could find that seemed doable. But it's expensive. And not only is it expensive, that's not really the hurdle. It's the complexity of QuickBooks. And gosh, these people did not intend this product to be integrated with anything, in my opinion. They didn't build it to do that. They built it to serve their needs, and it serves their needs well. And so it was like a breath of fresh air when I ran into Stony, and I honestly can't remember the first time we met, because we subsequently talked and met at multiple events and things, but I think it was a Florida Dreamin maybe. But yeah, so thank you, Mark.
Oh, there you go. Right.
And the Florida Dreamin Trailblazer network. Absolutely.
Right.
So so I just threw all that away, and that hurts, right? You rip the Band-Aid off and say all that work I did, but it was wonderful. And I came home and told my wife, I won't be doing that anymore on Saturdays. I'll be doing something else. She said, great, you can work on appointment reminders via text messaging, right? So now that's my new challenge, and CTI and all these other things. So in any regards, so you get this, I can't see the forest through the trees, you're just looking at this kind of stuff. And anyway, and so we put in Breadwinner. And one of the first things you might ask is, well, how hard is this? How hard is it you go from, and that's the first question I ask is, great, now, okay, the cost sounds good, thank you. That's not bad, I can see that. And I put the work in, so I understand what that cost represents. And the second thing is, well, how long is this going to take me? And the answer is minutes and days. It's minutes to get Breadwinner installed. The only thing you have to work through is your current customers and matching them to your QuickBooks customers. But they've created a tool, they've created a match that's very similar to like Salesforce matching rules, where it leads you through that process. And so that really is the only hurdle you have to go through. And the better job you did, or your staff did, with naming things the same, the better it is. And if you think about QuickBooks, it's almost like a person account, and where typically you'd use accounts and contacts in many cases, and we did certainly. So matching those account names to the other account names, but that's basically it. I did a platform solution, so I did not use opportunities to keep the solution cheap and simple. And so we were able to map the custom object. So if any of you have that question, you can do that. So what I want to do is kind of lead you through a scenario that's extremely common. And so I just showed you the QuickBooks screen of invoices, and now you can see the Salesforce screen of inboxes and list views. And I was going to talk about Stony's, that it is native. So you can see that the data is here and all the fields are here. And that was just so wonderful, because instantly I thought, oh my God, now I can make reports and I can relate data to data. But let's look at an individual appointment. So what we do, just to give you an overview, is we work off of the Lightning calendar. It's great and it's difficult at the same time. So, but this is the calendar for the practice. So we can see all the booked appointments, and we can categorize it by doctors and all these sorts of things. So I have an appointment here, and typically this is how the front desk operates. You go into a medical appointment, you click into the appointment record, and then the doctor starts taking notes and things like that on it. This is basically your EMR, your medical record system. And so they start adding products that they're using in the appointment, and they'll add services too to this. And then in the appointment itself, you can see that there's an invoice generated, and I'll do that with you guys. But really, this could be opportunity products, or in this case, a custom object.
Can't go wrong with a magic pill, that's for sure.
No, magic pills work every time. Yeah. And so it really just becomes extremely simple for them to do the checkout procedure. And we've actually changed our workflows at the practice, because no longer is it necessary. I have a kind of a, I don't really like this as a marketing director of kill the front desk, because it's not really the right way to put it. But really what we want to do is empower a simpler, more seamless process, frictionless process.
Sure.
So no longer do you need siloed individuals that do certain things when you have automation. I think everybody understands that. So if there's a technician in the room that's holding the dog and going to get the prescriptions ready and things, why don't they just hit the button? Boom, right? We don't have to go swivel chair over to QuickBooks anymore and recreate all those products. Here I have a verification screen, so you can see like, yes, everything is happening the way it's supposed to, and this can be turned off. And then it asks, so let's say you didn't match the customers, you didn't do a very good job. You can still do some fixing here on your way out. If the customer had never been created in QuickBooks, you can go ahead and create them here. So it doesn't disturb your workflows in having to swivel chair, which is fantastic. So this happens to be the right customer. And then this is creating the invoice live in QuickBooks. And so here you see it. And just like Stony was saying that, it looks like QuickBooks, and this really helped adoption because they didn't feel like they weren't scared of it. They're like, wow, this really looks like QuickBooks, like where I was working before. Yes, absolutely. And it gives you all the same exact options that you would see on that screen. And you can finish your invoicing. And this demo isn't very long in terms of that, because it's not difficult. It's as you're just creating an invoice. That's it. It's all classed correctly. Everything's been done. So let me just show you the power of what that then does for us. So yes, we've eliminated the swivel chair, and the client's happy and out the door faster than they were before. And if you've ever left a medical office and you have to go to the little window and deal with all that, it's kind of a pain in the butt. And guess what? During COVID now, we have the owner in the parking lot on a Zoom watching their dog get treated inside. So we've already added complexity, but at the same time, we launched Breadwinner. So it's just one less thing we have to do with the client. So often we'll get their credit card on file, so we don't have to worry about that. And all we have to do is go get their dog in the parking lot, treat it, they watch the Zoom, and then they leave and their invoice is done and paid for. So really frictionless process. I wish every medical appointment didn't require me to do anything, sign anything, touch anything. It's contactless medical care, now. Okay, so if we start to look at the insights that we can gain, we start to look at, and please don't take screenshots and things. This is my wife's practice. So just please respect that. Otherwise I can't be transparent with you. But we can see, volumes by class, what we're invoicing, what our average charges are. These are the kind of insights that you would not be able to massage and get out of QuickBooks. I can see the trends now. So if a doctor goes on vacation, I can see the impact. I can see our month over month. I can see the effects of COVID. Even for my, CARES Act stuff, I had to report to the government, what was the decrease in sales and all that sort of thing. I can create reports on that in 10 minutes and give you an answer. And it's just invaluable to be able to do that. And then the other day, Stony said, oh yes, and we also have inventory now coming in. I said, what? That's crazy, because that was another reason I had to go to QuickBooks. And I really wanted the staff to be looking at inventory levels and what I want to know what the practice is holding on the shelves in terms of the value and what we're using versus what we're stocking, and make sure our inventory levels are smart. And so now I've literally created this 10 minutes before the meeting. I created inventory reports because it's in Salesforce. It's super easy. So my next step is a join report or some type of a relationship report where I can start looking at some of the other insights that we need. And then we can do things like drill into, categories of products and go do things like that. I can also check the margin on products because I have the cost values. So I can see if maybe the front staff entered a product in that's not meeting our margin expectations, and take a look at that. And then maybe we need to adjust our commission rate, which, by the way, I also do now in Salesforce. We used to manually calculate commissions for the doctors based on QuickBooks reports that we would have to put in Excel, massage, and get out. And I literally had a spreadsheet that one tab had the commission rates for categories and the other tab had the month's sales, and we'd have to go through all that. Now my wife says, I need those commission reports. I go, oh yeah, hold on a second. I have a sip of coffee. I make sure that any new products have a commission attached. It takes me like 30 seconds. And she thinks I work really hard. But all I'm doing is just hitting refresh on the dashboard. So it's, once you have the information in Salesforce where you as an empowered Salesforce user can work with it, then you can say, yes, the turkey love food is under margin, right? And then we can go chatter on that record and talk to the inventory manager and say, you need to adjust the pricing or whatever, So this has allowed us to deal with QuickBooks, or I should say deal with invoicing and products in the same way we deal with everything else in the practice, rather than swivel chairing. And I look forward to the day where there's a low-cost product that's built on Unforce.com, but honestly, I don't care anymore because the objects are here. So I don't really, it's native, right? It's just using another engine to run. So, Stony, I hope that's what you were kind of expecting me to show.
I actually want to hire you as a demoer for Breadwinner now, but I can't say that in public. Oops.
Yeah.
That was great. That really was amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, we just got to turn chatter on some of these records and anyway. So I'm just, I'm floored with how easy it was and the insights we're gaining as a practice. So anybody have questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I've got a question for you because I'm building all this out right now. Can
Mhm.
you go back to your invoice tab? You had like the credit cards and all the information on there. Is that something you did through Stony or something you added personally? Because
we store the credit cards in QuickBooks. I'm not storing them yet in Salesforce.
I can answer that.
Yeah.
If you enable QuickBooks, whatever, it'll magically appear. And if you don't, it won't. So as long as that's enabled in QuickBooks, and the challenge is if you're running on a QuickBooks Sandbox, you'll never see it, of course, because you don't enable payment gateways for QuickBooks Sandbox. But just enabling that in QuickBooks, it should appear instantly in Breadwinner.
Okay, because that's one thing that we don't like is that we don't like the payment through QuickBooks. We want to do our own payment processes and things like that because we do with outside the country as well. So sometimes it's wire transfers and other processes we'd rather do than having this big pay now through QuickBooks link on the page type of thing. Nice. I'll see about doing. I'm still learning QuickBooks itself, so I'm still learning what it can do. But this has been helpful, and as a user of it and building it out now, very quick, very easy to enable, very easy to understand. It is almost one of those hold your hands and click here, do this, and it's all self-explanatory. We actually made it more complex for us because we sell multi-year deals, and now we've just implemented multi-year deals with monthly payments, and we only want the monthly payment going into QuickBooks one by one. And so we looked at actually doing recurring payments in QuickBooks. However, it was still using the same invoice number on the recurring payments, and we had people say, "Oh, we won't pay that. We've already paid this invoice number." It would not do the next invoice number. It kept the recurring payments the same invoice.
Interesting.
And we basically we're using Conga for quotes, and we get this nice, pretty quote, and then we got this QuickBooks invoice, and we're like, so we're actually going to send the invoice over to QuickBooks, get the invoice back, and then send it out with a nice, pretty Conga formatted. I'll still send it through Salesforce, through the invoice information. So everything is still QuickBooks record and QuickBooks is still the financial source of truth, but we just send out a nice, pretty piece of paper to make it look a little bit better. So those are some things that we've actually done. So we actually did some customizations on that, but we actually use opportunity and then create transactions records off of that. So we're using the custom Breadwinner button to process it off of custom objects. So we replicate it down. So if you bought 24 month subscription and you're paying monthly, there's 24 transaction records, and each one of those have a monthly date billed to them, and it goes processes. So the next thing after I get all this built out and tested, I am interested in the beta piece that Stony, I don't know if you want me to mention that or not, but basically the beta is automating that process so that now as it comes to that next monthly transaction, I could then automatically send it over into through Breadwinner into QuickBooks, and then somebody will actually just go through and send them out as needed. And then we may even automate that process once we're comfortable with it manually processed, but it's definitely on my roadmap to get done and do the automated piece, which again is all Breadwinner is able to do versus previous to this was, all right, opportunity close one, go copy, paste it out of there into QuickBooks. No, if sales had a question, go ask accounting, hey, where is this? Did it get paid? Do I need to go follow up on it? So we just saved so much time with this.
Yeah, it's funny. There's so many organizations where the sales team finishes, and this is a really common thread now in business, is the revenue, using revenue to pay, because now revenue is not hiding somewhere in a silo. So once revenue is not hiding in a silo, then why not pay the salespeople on what actually occurred at the end game and make them responsible rather than what they sold? So it's a revenue is a promise kept, and that's a better thing as a business owner to pay on than just an opportunity win.
We found that's one of our best secret features that people don't even think about, because all of a sudden they're like, wait, I can pay my salespeople commission based on when the invoice was paid. And all of a sudden the salesperson's job, they might only spend an extra 5 minutes double checking it has the right PO number, it has the right billing address, everything, but that they now care about cash flow. And that extra care might accelerate your cash in the door 3 to 5 days. And as Todd says, it's weird. We save time, usually 5 minutes at a time, which is one of the most unsexiest things to do. No one ever cares about saving 5 minutes. But when you save 5 minutes 1,000 times, that's otherwise known as 5,000 minutes. And I can't even do the math, but that sounds like 80-ish or 90-ish hours. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, we're effectively selling you your staff time back to you.
That's why Stony has Velcro shoes. So. Like the little kangaroo Velcro shoes. You still have from the 90s, or that was the 80s, I think.
I haven't actually tied my shoelaces in years.
Oh, goodness.
So also on an interesting point, I actually met Stony at Florida Dreamin as well. I was a consultant at the time, and they brought him in on several client information doing NetSuite. And now that I am now a customer at a different company, but it all started with Florida Dreamin.
Awesome. That is great to hear that both of you guys see. It's all right, Stony. No wonder you were totally on board coming right back this year. You're like, let's do this again, right?
It was also nice and warm. I'm in New York City freezing my buns off. So I just wanted to imagine what it would be like, with Todd's beautiful scenery in the background or Matt's surfboards. How can I not want to be here?
Yeah, that's why we did it. That's why we're trying to do it like in the late fall time frame. So some of these folks, some folks like you are more like, wait, this might not be a bad gig going down to Florida for a weekend, especially if you're in Orlando and if all things are right with the world, then you can have all kinds of fun down there. So yeah. Cool. All right. So any questions from anybody? Appreciate you guys, talking through that. Stony, great job with an overview, and thanks to Matt and Todd for, speaking as a customer. I mean, I love to see solutions like this that are on the platform, right? That it's clear that it's not a bunch of coded up pages that look ugly in Salesforce. It looks like a lightning page, kind of thing. So, so it's always easier for adoption, right? You mentioned, and you could even, like Matt said, if you're doing QuickBooks stuff, make it look like QuickBooks. If it's not, make it look like Salesforce page, right? So it's awesome. So, cool.
I had a quick question.
Go for it.
So on the actual page layouts themselves, how much flexibility does an admin have to customize any of that? Or would they have to work with you if they wanted things laid out a little bit differently or something along those lines?
We've never actually had that request. That said, if you add custom fields to that page layout, they will automatically appear. And when you click edit, we automatically show you the standard, either classic or lightning edit page. So we've yet to have a request to change that layout. So who knows? I don't know how to answer that, but it's up to you, I guess. But yeah, no
I
one's
think
even
you'll
asked to change
find
it.
that the page that creates the invoice is where you might want that information, but the invoice itself becomes immaterial.
I will add too, one of the nice things, if you create custom fields in QuickBooks, they also show up on the field when you create that invoice. That can be populated there, so you're not missing anything there as well.
And I have created custom fields on Breadwinner objects for various reasons. And you can do that, but there are some special considerations in terms of keeping them up to date.
Yeah, we want you to create custom fields on some of the objects just to enhance it even further.
Like commission and things like that.
All right.
All right, cool.
Anything,
Thank you.
any other questions? Any other questions? No? All right, cool. All right, thanks. Go for it. Yeah, absolutely. So this is there for. Go for it.
Okay, so I wanted to know that how easy it is to integrate the Breadwinner. Sorry, I'm very new to this and I have no idea,
Sure.
so it might be a stupid question. But how
No.
easy it is to integrate it with Conga CPQ or CLM or whatever system, like any other CPQ system?
Excellent question. One of the interesting things about CPQ is that even though people spend a lot of time in it, its output is usually the opportunity. So 9 times out of 10, when people say to us, can you integrate with CPQ? And we actually do the implementation, they don't bother to integrate with CPQ. They just bother to go right off the opportunity into the invoice. Or if it's NetSuite, off the opportunity into the sales order. That said, we work with any and every object in Salesforce. So we have a couple customers who, for whatever reason, want to do it off the contract, a standard object. Great. Matt's got it going off. I don't even know what the name of that record was, but that was Salesforce platform. So there wasn't an opportunity there. So we don't really care. We're agnostic what you're coming from. All we ask is that it's an object and a related list, which is even then still optional.
Sounds good.
Oh, and the time it takes anywhere from 30 to 120 minutes per kind of scenario is the one-time setup effort. So usually it's very rare we're not done in an afternoon for even the thorniest of implementations.
Yeah, just map in some fields.
Thank you, guys.
Well, I would say the longest time you spend is depending on the number of count records you have, going through and mapping those over and making sure they match or creating. That's probably the longest piece. And that only varies based on the number of counts that you have.
And I recommend between 2 to 3 glasses of wine for that. Any more, it's fuzzy. Any less, it's boring.
Yeah. Yeah. Data quality is always a problem, huh?
At least in the morning when you sober up.
Yeah, so Stony, I have a question. Let's say you have let's say when you're using this particular tools to integrate data from some other accounting systems, right? Let's say if there are millions or more amount of transaction volume records, right? How do you guys handle those things? Because they will be more interested in seeing the last 6 months of transaction, right? The past historical things. Do you guys get stored in the big object somewhere, or how do you manage those things?
What's been interesting is we get this question a lot from Salesforce consultants. We very rarely get it from customers. When you do the math, it's something like, I don't remember the exact number, but it's something like 500,000 records is a couple $100. And if you're in a company that's generating 500,000 records that involve an invoice, you're probably, and remember, you never issue an invoice. We're not like we don't deal with like an Amazon-esque e-commerce company. We deal with companies that issue invoices, and it's rare an invoice will ever be under $1,000, usually $5 or $10 or $100,000. So if they've got 1 million records that represent $1,000, you're actually dealing with 100 million, 1,000 million, $1 billion company. They could care less about the Salesforce data storage fees. If this was web analytics, you probably wouldn't want to store it natively because every click someone makes on your website has a financial value of close to zero. But when you're sending out a $10,000 invoice, there's never a day you're not going to want to be able to report on that $10,000 invoice. So the transaction values are so high that the data storage costs pale in comparison to the reporting benefits. That said, we do have a couple customers that operate both combined wholesale and retail things, and they will have invoices appear automatically in Xero based on e-commerce transactions. It's very easy for us to say, these companies bring in their invoice, these companies ignore their invoice. So we do have a very clear like split based on customer. We don't do the split based on date, because then you get functionally inaccurate data. You know, you're like, this customer's earned this much. Well, actually it's earned more. It was 3 years ago. It's you don't want to have a conversation. But those rare times we can split it very easily based on, and then if this is NetSuite, we can split it based on subsidiary, all sorts of stuff.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
All right.
All right, very good. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate you taking time to do that. I appreciate the questions. That's, you know, totally what this is about, is, you know, is to be interactive and find out as much as you can. So appreciate you, those that ask questions. Appreciate that a lot. So, all right, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead. So the next thing we want to do, Stony, is you want to give something away, right? What are we giving away here? Let's see what we're giving away.
You can, I think, even thank Lucy for this, who's also on the call. She did all the hard work of organizing it, but it is a brand new Yeti mug with a little Breadwinner logo on it. And you actually get this is COVID, so you get the safety wrapped one, not the one I'm holding right here. But yeah, this is a lovely Yeti mug. I don't know if you can see the word Yeti. And for those of you who drink anything hot or cold, oh, by the way, who was out for Halloween? I have to say, this year, the only standard thing I saw at Halloween was all the parents were holding a much taller Yeti mug. And we know there was not coffee or tea in that. So you definitely want this if you have kids and you're going trick-or-treating, because you get to drink whatever you want and no one knows what's in it.
There you go, right? Yeah. Good call. All right, so we're gonna spin the wheel. And let me pull the wheel over here. Oop, hold on. Grab it real quick. Let me. Give me. Okay. Oop, wrong one.
Are you getting your shot wheel out?
I am. Yeah. All right. So I think everybody's name is on here. That's on, right? I didn't miss anybody. Is that correct? Tell
My
me if
name is not here.
it's not. Okay. So it's
I saw it. Yeah.
You can write Chitra. It's Chitra, so that's easier.
All right. Where are you located?
Jacksonville.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Let me. Chitra is good. Okay. So anybody else name that might have joined late that I might have missed? I think I got everybody else, I believe. So okay,
yeah, looks
cool.
good.
All right.
You have two Michaels on there, so.
Do I really? Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Got a Rich and a Richard too, so.
Yes.
Is
Rich.
that me, Rick, instead of Rich?
No, Rich. Let's just.
I'm Rich. Yeah.
And then this is really Rick, right? Yeah, Rick. Rick Esser. Okay. And then two Michaels, Mike Griggs, and well, the other one is Michael S. Right? Okay. All right. So we got that cared for. Anybody else missing? Think we're good? Okay. All right. So I am going to, last but not least, share my screen audio. Share computer sound, because you got to hear the wheel going around and the applause when the wheel hits. So I'm going to go full screen and let's see who wins that Yeti mug.
Oh, latency.
All right, John is the winner. John Morales.
Nice.
Awesome. Congratulations to John. So good job there. And I'm going to exit full screen. And then again, going back to the deck here, Make
I
sure.
worked hard for that. Thanks,
Yes,
Chris.
you did. Yes, you join quite often, so that is working hard for
I
sure.
don't
Take
work quite.
dedication.
Sometimes.
So if you don't mind emailing me your mailing address, John, and I'll get that to you, Stony, and then he'll get that Yeti mug over to you. So just email there. All right. Okay, so let's take a few minutes here to do some networking of sorts. So right now we want to do some breakout rooms for a few minutes at least. We'll probably do it like 10 minutes. A little late on time, but I'll try to type my presentation up. So we're going to break out into smaller groups. This is meant to be similar to if we were in person. You'd be in a bar or something, and we get in little groups and chat about whatever we chat about. So I'm going to give you a topic just to get you started. You don't have to talk about this. Talk about whatever you want to. Just try not to talk about Salesforce. Just talk about something of a personal nature if you're comfortable doing that. But if you need a topic, what's the most interesting place that you have traveled to or that you would like to travel to one day? So talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to assign breakout rooms randomly. Each room will have up to 5 people, 4 or 5 people in them. I'm going to open the rooms in just a minute here, and you'll get a notification on your screen pop up and say join now. You just join that room, you guys chat for a bit, and then when it's ready to come back, I'll notify you, and you'll get a notification that says please join in the next 60 seconds. It'll count down from 60 seconds on to, so you can either join then or wait for the 60 seconds to be up, and it'll automatically join you back to the main room. So we'll do it for about 10 or 15 minutes here. Okay. All right, so we have, so let's do, it's okay. All right, so assign automatically. Here we go. You guys should get a notification here. Open all rooms now. So you should get a notification now, and you should be able to just join and chat away, and I'll let you know when we're ready to get back again. So, okay. Have fun.
Because
Should have got a notification, Rick, to join a room if you want to join in and just chat with the folks that are in your room. And hopefully everybody's able to, oh, okay, everybody's in, okay, cool. Is he? All right, so talking about some Winter 21 release, I mentioned this at the beginning of the call, but Salesforce gives us this large deck that's like 130 slides long and says, here's all the awesome things that we released, and that's really not even all of them. And they say, okay, take these 130 slides and scale it down to 5 and just talk about 5 things in your meetings. And I'm like, and I'm going through and I always get to like, I can usually reduce it down to about 30. So I think I got it down to 12 that I'm gonna talk to you guys about, and 6 kind of honorable mentions that I will at least show a slide for. I won't do a whole lot, but more than talk through the slide just because I want to mention it in this call. And a couple of them I'm gonna try to demo. Hopefully things will go as planned in that demo. So we'll see how that works out here. So. Okay, so let's get into that. So here we are. I won't repeat this, but this is again where I might be talking about some non-GA stuff. But let me get myself prepared a little bit, get my orgs in order, all that good stuff. If you guys can humor me for a second here.
While you do that, I'll just say one thing that actually got pulled from the release, which you don't typically see too much, is look up to opportunity products. I was disappointed. Should be coming in spring though, but
Yeah, probably a few kinks they had to work through before they did that kind of thing. I've seen that happen a few times too. So.
Yeah, it was built on the old delete trigger platform, for lack of a better way to say it. So they're updating it to the new one, and they're targeting spring 21 forward-looking statement.
Yeah, right. You know, I've seen a lot too about the email to case, how that's going to be handled going forward, and there's a lot of gaps that were still there. They were planning on releasing it. I think they're for the summer release coming up, but then they've already pushed it because they got to work out some different things. So
I didn't even know they were changing it.
yeah, they're like right now when you do email to case, you got to include that reference ID, and in the future, that reference ID will no longer exist. They got some way, I don't know, there's some convoluted way they do it, but it's supposed to make it easier so it doesn't require that, because a lot of times that reference ID would not, people will strip it because they don't know what it is, or somebody else will reply back without it or something. So so they're doing something different that they thought would be more effective, but
Nice.
comes to find out that it doesn't work with process automation, which a lot of people use to respond back to cases and that type of thing. So they got to work through some kinks there. So
got it.
so anyways, so this is again high-level summary information. Each one of these slides include at least a link to like the release notes page, right directly to the release notes page related to this, and most of them have like a quick 2 or 3 minute demo video. So if you want to find out more, it's quick and easy to find out about it, whether if it's from a user perspective or how to set it up from an admin perspective. So. And it also identifies by color coding, whether it's really focused on admin, business unit developer, or whatever it may be. So, so just keep that in mind. If you want to learn more, there's going to be links in here for the release notes, the YouTube playlist, release highlights trail, if you're getting on the trailhead, and then detailed release notes, and then the communities if you want to join them. So these are all the different areas. The one thing that I keep noticing more and more, and you'll probably continue to hear it more and more from Salesforce, is there's a lot more products on here that start with the word industry. And I think I don't know if most of you know that they just recently acquired Velocity, which had a lot of pre-built industry related solutions that they already had in place. So they're continuing to enhance what they've already started, with what's listed here with the financial services cloud, the health cloud, manufacturing cloud. Now they have a consumer goods cloud, and now this is the first time I've seen public sector solutions as well. So they'll continue to grow those different industry base, so that way you're not getting, if it's appropriate for you, you're not just getting a base sales cloud or service cloud. It's specific for whatever your industry is. So there's a lot less configuration that you're required to do in the long run. So so just kind of key, that's one thing I noticed just from a high level perspective. All right, so let me get into some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. The first thing is Lightning specific. Top one that everyone that I keep hearing talking about is dynamic experiences within Lightning. So the dynamic forms and the dynamic actions, I'm going to touch base on those two a little bit. Lightning flows, I'm not going to touch on those two. If you want to join Salesforce Saturday, Andy is the Lightning flow king, and he'll be happy to talk Lightning flow with you all day. And then in-app guidance enhancements, there's a quick little enhancement related to how the prompts show visually. So I want to kind of go over that briefly as well. So those are the two things I'm going to talk about from a Lightning overall experience perspective, and I'll do a demo in just a second. So again, from a dynamic experience, this is one of the most voted ideas on the App Exchange. So again, we probably emphasized it before, but if you're not out there on the App Exchange, or I mean on the Idea Exchange, I should say, reviewing ideas and getting solutions from ideas that are out there, if you see an idea that you think you can really benefit from, make sure you go in and you vote it up ticket, so they know there's a lot of customers or partners, whatever level of relationship you have with Salesforce, that they know this is important for us. So this is one of the most voted ideas, and they've implemented it. Or so with that, you could kind of eliminate the need for so many different page layouts and various record types and all that kind of cool stuff to be able to display whatever you want to whenever it needs to be displayed. So I'm going to run through that briefly here. So the one limitation that's pretty significant, but hopefully it'll be rectified sooner rather than later. But the dynamic actions and forms, the fields, it's only available on custom objects. It does not work on standard objects currently. So just keep that in mind. as you're thinking about taking advantage of this. For now, you can only do it on custom objects, which helps in some aspects, but just be patient if you want to use it on your standard standard objects. So, all right, so let me find the correct. Okay, so I have the right one here. And let's make sure I'm not going to get logged out immediately. Refresh. All right, so here I have this custom object called properties. I'll go to that real quick. I'll go on to this property record here. The first thing that I am going to do personally, and it's all preference related. Anytime I get into an org and it's showing me via the comfy view, I go right up to my icon and I change it to compact. I prefer, I feel like it's less scrolling required. So I change that to be compact. That way, instead of the information, the data being below the title, it's right next to it. So I always do that. But again, that's all just preference. So, whatever you want to do there. So now I'm going to go in and if you want to take advantage of these options, you just go into the Lightning edit page. I'm going to go into edit page here. And then if you want to you basically have to do what's called upgrading the various components to be able to take advantage of these. So I'm going to go into, you have to click into the details. I haven't clicked into anything yet, but once I click into the details, you can see up here, it says you can configure record detail sections and fields right inside your app. Instead of having to create 20 different page layouts, you could just show whatever fields and sections you want to right here within it. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade now. And initially what happens is it brings you through a quick little deal to say, hey, if you want to do this, do you want to start from scratch or do you want to use a page layout? So I'm going to say, yes, I want to use a page layout. And my org only has one page layout, but if you had multiple page layouts on this custom object, you would just select whichever one you wanted to utilize. So I'm going to go ahead and select this property layout here and just finish. And it's basically going to be very similar to what I was looking at, but it just kind of breaks each thing up where you can do something uniquely with each field and with each section. So you can see I have this information section that was on the page layout. And then down here, there's additional fields and all that jazz. So all that is on here. So the one thing I will preface, I'm going to make a lot of changes to the way these fields are laid out and the sections are laid out. But the one thing I will say is when you make changes here, it does not affect your page layout at all. You still keep your current page layout. It doesn't change that. It's just basically visually how you're filtering how to look at it. Think of it similar to how when you build a report, you're filtering down on fields you want to look at, fields you want to filter on. It's basically the same concept, but with fields and sections. So just kind of think of it that way. So, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new tab. Because right now I have this additional information. I have contract information, I have pictures, and I have description and system information with no fields here. So I'm going to create a couple of new tabs up here. So I'm going to first go up here and create a new tab. And instead of having it all in one place, I want to have it by tab. So here I'm going to call this contract information custom. Contract info. And I want to have that contract information in there. So I'm going to go down, expand that again. And so I want to grab this entire section. I can grab one field or I can grab the entire section. I'm going to grab the entire section and pull it into this contract information. So I hover up here to highlight it, to get it to show up. And hopefully this is going to, did it not grab it? Maybe I didn't grab it. Oh, I need to grab it up here. Okay, grab the grabber. And there I go. So I put it in here. So now all of that is in here, instead of being under details. So now if I look, it's gone here and it's here. That's as easy as that. That way you can break it up into different information here. So just kind of keep that in mind. So I did that. And then I also want to put the picture information in here as well. So I'm going to create one real quick. It's called picture info. And then I'm going to grab the picture info and pull it up there. Picture, all that section. And then it's in here. So, but what I also want to do is there's some other fields that aren't on this page layout that I want to include in this picture information section. So over here on the left, I'm going to go over here and click fields. And I'm going to say, all right, I want to add some additional fields into here. So I'm going to find a field called picture. So that picture right here, the main picture is already on there, but I want to add picture as well. So I add that to it. I also want to add one that's called record link. So here's the record link field, and I grab that and plug it over here up on top of that. And then the last one is the thumbnail. Right now it has the main thumbnail, but I also want to add this thumbnail field as well. So you can make this be whatever you want it to be, whatever fields, whether it's on the current page layout that you kind of used as a template, and make whatever adjustments you want to on there. I'm going to go ahead and add one more tab up here at the top. And I'm going to call this one system information. System info. And again, you saw on the original one, there's actually on this page layout, there's always a system info section on every page. But you know, in this scenario, I didn't put any fields at all on here, but I want to use this section. So I'm going to grab this section and put it in here. And then again, I'm just kind of building this from scratch. So I'm going to put in created by, not with a 4. I'm going to put in created by. I'm going to put in last modified by. I'm going to put in owner in here, right? System info. And then I'm going to put in broker as well, who the broker is. All right, so that's that for that. So the other thing that you can do besides all this, so here, when I finish this, and we'll show you in a minute, but instead of it all being in one place, and this wasn't a humongously awesome example because there's not a ton of fields, but if your org that you currently use, and I'm sure there's all of us that have it, there's at least 1 or 2 objects that's got like 100 fields and 10 different sections, instead of having to scroll through those all the time. And then also, so your page will load quicker, you can hide the non-essential records under tabs. That way the page will load quicker and you'll see the most critical information up front, and you can click on a tab to get to the other non-critical pieces of information that you might need. So keep that in mind. But the other piece again is the actions that are on here. So up here at the top, you have a bunch of actions that are up here currently that are on your page layout, right? Is where you would normally go to update that. Well, again, similarly to the fields, you can update the dynamic actions on here as well. So I'm going to upgrade that so I can display whatever fields that I want to display on here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on upgrade now. And I want to start with the actions from this existing page, or you can start from scratch. I'm going to go ahead and just grab those for now. And I'm going to grab it again. If there were multiple page layouts, you would have to select it there, but I only have one. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. So in here, it shows all of the actions that are currently on this page layout. A little bit more than I really need on this property. I'm never going to create a new contact. I'm always going to want people to create a lead. So I'm going to take off this create contact. And this thanks doesn't really go with Lightning. So I'm going to get rid of that. Same thing for link, doesn't belong on Lightning. And I don't want people deleting. So I'm going to remove that from the page layout as well. So you can just easily remove those. And again, you're not messing with the page layout. It's still there, but you're just displaying the fields that you want to display. So just keep that in mind. So the other thing you can do besides dynamically displaying these fields like this, you can take it a step further and say, when do you want it to display? So in here, I have an action called submit for approval. But I really only want that when the status of this property is at a specific status. So I'm going to click on it and it brings this up to say set action visibility. So I'm going to say add a filter that says I want to look for the status field. And only if the status field is equal to contracted. Contracted. So I'm going to leave it as contracted here and then done. And I can add another one if you wanted to add another, like if I wanted to add, say, contracted and also under agreement as well. I think I want to add. So that way, if it's okay, so either one of those filters match, then it will do that. All filters are true. Any filters are true, right? Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's only going to display now if it's ready for being submitted. If it's in contracted or under agreement. So there's that. And then you can do the same thing under your details. So if I go back to my details here and I go to, I'm going to go to under my contract info, and I'm going to look at date agreement. Let's just so I can pick a field here. And again, I'm going to set the visibility on here to the same filter that I just did. So status is equal to contracted. And I'm going to add another filter. Ooh, let's get rid of that address. And also under agreement. So it could be either one of those. Any filters are true. Okay, so that's going to be on there only if that is happening as well. And then you'll notice too, when I added the filter, I'll just kind of go back. I'm not going to add another one, but you have record field, and then you have this advanced, which is similar to, again, when you're creating a formula field. That way it kind of allows you to say, select what field you want, and you can kind of drill down into related information, users, records, or permissions. So you have a lot of flexibility to decide when and how to display these. I'm not going to go that deep today, but just wanted to make sure you knew that was available out there. So, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Okay. Let me make sure this is set as the org-wide default. I'm sure it is. Org-wide default. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got it. So, all right. So I'm done with that. So now if I go back, I don't think there's a status on this record we were looking at. So the submitted for approval button is not here, right? And then also if I go to contract information, that date agreement is not here. So, but if I go back to the status field and I update the status to contracted and save that, the following been added to the record. The following fields were added to the record because I'm saving this, right? So now submitted for approval is here, and that date agreement is here. So you can decide when and if these show up or disappear at any given time. So just kind of keep that in mind. So that's what I wanted to show you on that. So it's a lot of, I mean, as much flexibility as Lightning already had, that just takes it to the nth degree flexibly. So any questions on the Lightning dynamic forms and dynamic actions? Nope. Okay. Awesome. Well, hopefully you guys will start taking advantage of that, at least again for custom objects, and hopefully down the road shortly it'll be available for standard objects as well. So, so the other thing I wanted to touch on briefly is the in-app guidance. I talked about it a little bit a couple meetings ago, but just wanted to talk through, you know, how it visually shows. So if you have your theme branding change to a certain level out of the norm, you can make that prompt display. You can have a lot more flexibility on how that shows on there. I just want to kind of walk through that a little bit. All right, so I am going to go into another org that looks like it logged out, but that's okay. I get back in. All right, so in this one, so I'm going to go first. I'm going to show you what it looks like now because I haven't changed my branding. You can see this is the standard branding. So if I go to in-app guidance, and I'm going to focus on this one prompt that's on here called my ops. So if I go in preview mode for this bad boy, you can see right now, it just kind of shows standard like you see today. I mean, you see these pop up all the time now. So it kind of pops up as it is currently. So you can kind of see that there. But what I wanted to show you real quick, let me go into the themes now, themes and branding. Hopefully you guys know about this. If you don't take advantage of it, there's some standard different colorations you can do. You can preview them or activate them, you know, in your org. I'm gonna activate one now in my org here. Or you can create your own theme that matches your company's branding colors so that the org, when people log into Salesforce, it has the same look and feel from a colors and the way things are presented as your rest of your company's org. All right, so I'm going to go into Cody Canyon. That's one of my favorites. Changes the colors quite considerably. Goes from a bluish to a reddish orange background in the back. So I like that. So now if I go back to my in-app guidance, and this time I'm going to go in and edit that. You could tell right from the get-go it's going to look different. All right, so I'm going to go to edit mode. And then once I'm in here, it presents it similarly to what it did before, but you can see it already kind of, to some extent, kind of reflects the colors that I changed it, the themes and branding. But over here on the right, when you have the other options to do what you normally do and where it's located and whether it's a doctor floating and all that good stuff, now there's another option at the bottom, the custom theme for the coloration on this. So if you check this box, it brings up some options. So I can keep it way it is, where I can change these colors to a lighter color or just a plain, standard colorization. I'll change it back to here for now. Or the other option is you can kind of really make it stand out and change it to like a dark. So here the coloration is really prominent on it. You can lighten it up a little bit or turn it gray. That's probably not what you want to do, but your choice. So that kind of gives you some flexibility on how you display this and how prevalent you want it to be whenever it pops up on somebody's screen if you're using these prompts. Now these prompts are available to anybody. You don't have to have any, you don't have to buy any special licenses for it. I'm sure whatever license you have, I'm pretty sure just about every license has this available to it. So anywhere you think people need a quick little hint and hey, this is what you need to do when you get to this page, you can add this to it and it'll pop up and you can have buttons that take action and or dismiss like in this one. So, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and save it here. So now that's done. So now next time somebody goes to that My Opportunities list view, they'll get that pop up there and it'll display for them there. So, okay. Any questions on the in-app guidance? I mean, there's not a lot of necessarily functionality wise, but it's really because it's a training tool. And how this allows you to be able to make it stand out that much more than you might be already doing if you are taking advantage of it, to really make it stand out so people notice it and take advantage of it and make sure they do the right thing. If they're missing something in a step that they normally miss, you can make sure that happens and they catch it. And if you're not using this, take advantage of that, of the prompts for sure. I would definitely recommend doing that as much as you feel appropriate. Any questions?
Yeah, Mark, this is Rick. Is this by any chance available in communities too, an experience builder?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Trying to think about if it would make sense or be useful there, but I just wanted to ask the question in general.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I've never tried to do it in a community. I haven't dug into it to see if it does, but I would assume it would, but I'd have to look into it to see. So, but yeah, that's a good point. I mean, definitely your customers or what have you probably need some guidance as well, right? They use your community.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Good question.
But can I add something? So this has a really cool feature, the in-app guidance. You can add any link to it, and after the user view the in-app guidance, you can make them redirect to any site you want, like any trailhead you have or anything you want them.
YouTube site, trailhead site, anything of that nature, help page, or anything internally at your company, like you said, right? Yeah, you can really have them, if they want to get more info to get the answer they need, you can link them out to that to make sure they get the info. Yeah, good point. Yeah, thank you. Yep. All right. Okay. All right. So the next one I wanted to touch on here, let me go back to my slides here, is really related to like platform services. Real quickly, I just want to touch on the Salesforce optimizer enhancements and just talk about the optimizer in general. If you're not taking advantage of it, recommend you do it. And then the multi-factor authentication assistant. I don't know about you, but I see this popped up every time I log into the org now saying, all right, are you ready for multi-factor authentication? If you're not seeing it, I know I am. So I figured probably a good idea to, if everyone else is, to kind of at least briefly talk about it in our call today. So So those are the two areas I'm going to talk about from this section. The other three, you know, I'll include a full link deck in our chatter group and our community collaboration group in case you want to reference any of these other ones that are listed here that aren't highlighted that I'm not talking about. But I'm just going to kind of touch on a couple of them at least, add and narrow it down to some extent. So again, from an optimizer enhancement perspective, what you get out of it now is you can schedule this thing to run on a monthly basis, so that you can constantly keep up with where you're at with your current org's health, whether you're using fields or not, whether people are using reports or not, whether you have too many fields on a page layout or whatever it might be, all those things, whether you're using too much storage, if you're getting close to your limit, you can have this refreshed every month and you can visually go take a look at that within the org or in a PDF version if you still prefer that. But it's like an app inside your org now if you weren't aware of that. The optimizer is. Previously, it was just a standalone PDF doc that was emailed to you, but now it's all inside your org and you can have it run every month. So I'll show you a little bit of that. And even has some line graphs. So as you continually every month have this ran, you can kind of get a quick graphical history of how quickly you're getting to a risk level or something like that, some kind of deal. So let me go to my org that has that enhanced in it. Okay, I'm sorry, efforting. Patience, thank you. All right, here we are. So here's my org that has this information in it. So I'm going to go on under setup, and I would quickly, just to kind of give you, if you do want to set this up to run monthly, here's how you would do it. You would go to optimizer in your production org. I don't think you can get to this I don't think optimizer is even available in sandboxes. So you type in optimizer, you go to it here on the left, and you go to this page here. I've already allowed access, but if you haven't come to here yet and done anything, there'll be an option here to say, please allow access, and you would click it and it'll bring up a box, say you agree to allow this to run every month or what have you across all your data, and you just say allow access. And then down here, you decide whether you want it to run monthly or you just want to manually do it. So you can leave it as no scheduled run, or you can change it to run monthly, and then every month you don't have to do anything. It constantly is giving you updated information at the end of the month. And then once you set those up, that's it. From here, you can either go ahead and create a quick PDF, or you can go straight to the optimizer app that I just mentioned, and either look at the details that were last run, or you can run it. So I'm going to go here. I have details from when I did it actually earlier today here. So I can look at the details. If this was not recently run, you can go right up here and run it again and get the most up-to-date information. It'll take a minute to run through your org, depending on all the cool configuration you've done in your org. So you could either, and this is sortable, so you can see I can sort it by feature name here, what type it is, or how long is it going to take me to do this? Here's all the things that's only going to take me 30 minutes to take care of if I need to. But over here in Alas, it says these you don't need to do anything to. These you might want to review. And there might be, I think, immediate action required on some of them. So yeah, so there is kind of let you know what to do and what not to do. The one thing that I, as a consultant, I work with a lot of different customers. I think sometimes this optimizer, it gives so much information, it can be overwhelming on what to do to focus on. If you've never run your optimizer and you don't normally clean up, per se, your org on a regular basis, and it's a bit old and you do a lot of stuff in it, I would say let this run monthly and pick, maybe 5 things out of this list that it says to do, or 2 or 3. Just grab something every month and work on that and focus on that and get that cleaned up. And then by the end of the year, you'll kind of have it cleaned up. And then once you kind of gone through them all and kept them clean, then at that point, it's not too difficult to kind of run this monthly, grab anything that needs to be updated, to get that done. So, so some of the cool features, again, though, that I wanted to show you. So I'm going to go back over here. And so if I go look at your data storage limits here, they're awesome, this org here. So they hardly used any. You can see that hardly any of their 10 gig. But again, I've only run this once in this org too, unfortunately. So, but you can see up here, it gives you a quick there. But in December when it runs, it'll either grow to a higher level and have that line across here, or it'll stay straight. I'm sorry. So has your information here. And then again, depending on what you're looking at, you can look at, say, like field usage. It doesn't give you a graph per se, but it kind of gives you some information. Unused, there's 220 unused fields currently, which is, and it kind of gives you some data on each one of them and some recommendations. So it really helps, kind of keep tracking of all this information. File sharing is here, or even file adoption. It's telling me, hey, only 30% of your users are using files in the past 30 days. If they're supposed to be, you need to make sure they are, because your customer's data might be at risk. So it kind of gives you some great information to really think, well, why would I even look at this? This is why. You want to make sure your data is accurate, up to date, easy to maintain, and secure. So, okay. Okay, so that's really all I wanted to talk about. I don't want to spend too much time on the Salesforce Optimizer, but I want to walk through, how you enable the monthly run, how you can run it on a ad hoc basis if you wanted to, and just how this information is presented to you, and I would recommend, if you've never done it, how to kind of get it up to snuff. Maybe spend a year doing it, and then after a year, it's easy peasy to keep the whole thing cleaned up. So, okay, any questions? All right, so the other thing I wanted to touch on real quick, and again, I won't spend too much time on this, but I did want to touch on it, is the multi-factor authentication assistant. It's not something you just quickly turn on and you're done and tell people, okay, start using it. Depending on how you have your folks currently logging in, can make a pretty big impact on how much effort this would take to do this, like especially if you have single sign-on in place or something of that nature. So you want to really be strategic on how you think through how you want to implement this. So again, I'll just kind of look at this really quick. So if I go into here, and if I take this out, just kind of go back to my home page, there's an option right here, just like in the Lightning Experience Transition Assistance, there's a multi-factor authentication assistant now for everybody. And then you can just kind of run through here. If you're like, well, what do you mean, Mark? Why would I even pay attention to this? At least go to this Get Ready tab and just kind of look through these items here and see if you want to learn more. And if you do, there's obviously links over here to learn more about each one of these. Evaluating your options depending on how you have people signing in now, single sign-on or what have you, and then creating a plan to get this rolled out and make sure people are taking advantage of the secure measures. And again, this is to make sure that your data and your users have secure access to your account information. And if you're ready to roll it out, there's a tab here for rolling it out. Make sure you're prepared, and then managing it on a regular basis as well to make sure that people are using it properly, and when they run into issues, how to get support, all that kind of good stuff. So just kind of, I wanted to at least touch on it for a second and let you know there's a lot of great info. If you're not familiar, and again, if you're getting that pop-up, at least come here and take a look at this Get Ready tab, just so you understand why it's even important and what you would need to do to potentially put it in place for your org. So any questions on the multi-factor authentication assistant? Okay, all right. I know I'm like already way past my time, so I'll just kind of zip through the rest of these probably. So except for I did want to touch on some mobile stuff, so I'll try to zip through these. So help portal enhancements from a Success Cloud, and then as accelerators, 26 new and refresh accelerators. So here it's just telling you that you can get your answers faster. There's apparently you only fill out 4 fields now to submit a case. You have technical support for Quip. And then those of you like me that have come in here and try to start a chat and it like 10 times tells you nobody's available, they have support queuing for Premier customers. So if you're a Premier customer, you probably you're not dealing with that anymore. It just puts you in queue and you'll be the next person that gets answered from a chat perspective. And they also have chat support for Pardot Premier customers. So just wanted to kind of bring those few things up. If you've been away from going to support, because I know in the past, sometimes they haven't had the best rep. They are continuing to make improvements in many areas, and that's a couple of the areas they made improvements in. So, okay. And then accelerators. Saw this on here, so I wanted to make sure I brought this up. So again, there's some new and updated, and these are, if you're not sure what these are, so if there's a solution that you need to find an answer to, whether it fits your org's current business cases or not, You can spend some time with some folks at Salesforce using these what are called accelerators, and you can learn more about it. And they work with you individually about, okay, how do you use your current Salesforce org? You know, what can we do to, you know, what are you trying to accomplish, and make sure it fits in with what you're trying to do within that particular product. So they've added some for work.com, Salesforce Maps, and Service Cloud Voice. But I did want to, if I can find it without fumbling around too much, but I did want to quickly show you guys, oops. Nope. Okay, one more try, and then I'm gonna say done. Okay, all right, so I couldn't find it, but I had to pay a slide here, and maybe it's linked on here. Maybe I linked it. I don't know if I did or not, to be honest with you. Let me try that. If that doesn't work, then I will definitely say no bueno. Yeah, no, that's not it. That's not what I wanted. All right, so there was a page that I had, and I'll make sure it's linked on that slide. But it kind of brings up all the different types of ones that are out there, all the different type of accelerators that are out there available for folks to take advantage of. Oh, I did find it now. So let's see, as soon as I said that, talked it right up. So this just kind of goes through the library. So again, if you're like, I want to learn more about a certain product within one of these, and this is for Premier customers, so you have to have a Premier success plan to be able to take advantage of these accelerators. So, I mean, if you look at this, there's all kinds of campaign management, Sales Cloud Einstein, Salesforce Maps, you know, all these different prevent duplicate records and set up Gmail, all these different things you can kind of, if you're not sure what the impact will be or how to do it for your org, you can request one of these accelerators. There's no additional cost if you're already a Premier Success Plan person. You could take advantage of any of these that you wanted to. Here's a bunch for service, marketing, commerce, Pardot, you know, there's even community and mobile. There's the mobile one on here too. Where is it? So yeah, so there's a couple on here for mobile. So if your people use mobile and you're not sure that it's set up right, you can kind of do a real quick accelerator with them. I think you get up to 6 hours of their time, and then they provide you some output so that you can kind of have some guidance on how to move forward with implementing whatever you need to implement if it makes sense for your org. So just wanted to bring that up for a few minutes at least. So, okay. Any question on any of the success stuff there, accelerators or the support in general? All right, this one I will really just touch on fast, but I did want to mention those because they seem kind of cool. There's a lot of cool stuff from a nonprofit perspective, but these two related to case management seem really cool. So here from this client intake. So, you know, again, this intake is just the process of, you know, a candidate, you know, that wants to enroll in a program, and it's the beginning of their services. So it's like the start of their journey with your organization. So you want to make sure you handle that appropriately. So this helps your case managers to be able to reduce the amount of time that they're spending enrolling a client into a program, and then have all the information all contained right there, and knowing what to do next to get them moving along within the program. So thought that was kind of cool, you know, take advantage of that, to look into it if you using the nonprofit cloud on there. And then the other one is client referral. So if you have a client, you're helping them with a program, and the help they need isn't fit within the program you have, and you got another program in your organization that they can benefit from, you can refer them to that program so that you can kind of keep track of where referrals are going and coming from within your org, so you can keep track of that information within your case management process. So, okay. And then the last one here is the philanthropy cloud. Before I get into some mobile stuff super fast, sorry, we're running over. So philanthropy cloud, if you're not familiar with it, this is a product that your company would enroll in. For instance, a lot of people, you know, United Way, your company gives you the opportunity to take payroll deductions out each month for United Way, or to go and spend time volunteering at a United Way program. This keeps track of that from a company perspective, and Salesforce provides this philanthropy cloud to companies for you as an employee to be able to track whatever funds you're putting into through payroll deductions, or how much time and when you're spending that time volunteering with those you know, whatever foundations or nonprofits that you have within your company that you're allowed to spend time with. So so just really kind of cool. It kind of gives you the ability to do it on an Android now. It's been available on iOS for a while, but it looks like it's just available on Android yet. So so just wanted to mention that. Okay, so that was it for the for those updates. So the last updates I wanted to talk about were a few mobile updates. Before I get to that, were there any other questions that we had that anybody had?
A lot of good information, Mark. Thank you.
I'm trying to squeeze it in as much as I can. Sorry, I know we're already kind of over, but I want to, oh, so let me join. I'm going to join. Oh, there it is. I'm going to stop sharing because I am going to enable, okay, yes, allow Zoom. Okay, so I need to be allowed in, allow myself in. Awesome. All right, so I am going to share the screen on my phone so I can show you guys what I'm doing here. Start my broadcast. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Thank you. That's awesome. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about real quick is go back to my deck now. Oh, so I've already gone away. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the mobile app enhancements. So let me go into my Salesforce app. Okay, so there's a couple things I wanted to talk about. One on here is, let me go to, if you're, I'm not showing, I can't show my slide. So there's a couple things I want to talk about is when you're looking at records, you now can look at like information related to your activity timeline, just like you would on your desktop, very similarly at least. So if you're looking at my phone, which you are, if you're paying attention on the screen here. So I'm going to go into, I'm on opportunities homepage, you know, like the home app page. So I'm going to go into this first one called David Adelson, Half Dome 2026. So you'll see as soon as I click into this, it shows your record just like you normally would, except on top of it as a kind of a sliding option, it shows your recent activities. So you can see any upcoming and overdue and all the historical information. This record only has one, but if I wanted to, I can pull that up if it had a lot more, and I can scroll through all the activity that they had. But if I'm done looking at the activity, I want to get to the rest of the details, I can pull it all the way down and look at all the rest of the details, including the, you know, the record, chatter related and all the details and the path and all that kind of good stuff. So that's kind of cool. It kind of gives you that activity feel, look and feel like you do on your desktop. So just wanted to kind of point that out. The other thing too, very similarly, if I go to reports, it has a very similar view there. So I'm going to go into reports here. And I'm going to go into this first report. No, I'm going to go into this one by adventures. So here it shows me again, here's a lot of detail. And then here's like the report highlight information that would be at the top of your screen, but it shows sum of total price, record count. If I pull this up, it kind of gives you the summary for each account, like Home Dome Hike, 4,400 at 11, Machu, 50K at 20. So you kind of get all that detailed information. It's normally up at the top where I can pull it all the way down to get to the other detailed information that I would if I wanted to kind of scroll through the details of it. So just wanted to point those two things out real quick. And then the third thing I wanted to show you guys real quick is the events. So when you're looking at events, I'm going to go to all items here and go to events. This is new. as far as displaying as a monthly view, because before it was just that day or maybe 3 days, and it was very difficult to go from month to month. You had to go a couple days at a time to get to the next month. Now they have this monthly view, so I can quickly and easily scroll to December, to January, to February. I'm going to go back to November. The other thing that's really cool is on this monthly view, you'll see there's 3 dots under my 18, and there's also 3 dots under my 20. So that tells me I have 3 appointments today, and it shows you some details of them right below here. You can see I can scroll through as many meetings that I have, and then I have 3 on Friday. I don't have anything tomorrow, but you can see here I had a meeting at 1 o'clock, I had a meeting at 2, and I had to send an email. I'm gonna have to send an email tonight. So it shows you that information on here. So wanted to point that out. The other thing I just wanted to touch on real quick is if you're creating a new event, like I'm going to do here, I'm going to create it, say pick up lunch. I'm going to pick up lunch at Jersey Mike's tomorrow. And I'm going to go down here to the location and put in the location of the Jersey Mike's in this field that you would put a location in. And I'm putting in a real one, so it'll act right on the event itself. And hopefully I just hit all the right numbers, because usually I have fat finger. Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm going to do this tomorrow. So I'm changing the date to, to tomorrow, and I'm going to make it at 12 p.m. Okay, and then I'm done here. So I can say finish once I get this to, okay, so I'm going to click save up here at the top. So now I have this, again, I'm back on this screen. I have my 3 dots for the day, 3 dots for Friday, and now I have a dot for tomorrow. So it tells me, I got to do something tomorrow. Well, I have to pick up lunch. So again, even though it was just a text field that I entered that location in, it didn't look it up and find it. It still knows to display locations. If you put in an address as an address, and if I click it, it brings up my, my default map app, so I can go to it and find directions and all that kind of cool stuff. So, so just wanted to point that out. It's really, if you don't use the event feature on your phone, definitely recommend taking advantage of it, especially if you're somebody that's out and about quite a bit. It definitely will kind of help you in that aspect. So, all right. So the other thing I wanted to mention briefly is some stuff on Trailhead. So I'm going to pull up my Trailhead app here real quick. So the one thing I wanted to point out is on your Trailhead app now, it shows you some recommendations once you complete a badge. It says here's some things, other badges, since looking at the other badges you've completed that you might want to look at. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do a quick search on Quick Look. Oh, it's already right there. So let me search on Quick Look, and I'm going to go find the admin one. So I'm going to Salesforce admin Quick Look. So I go in, it's only 10 minutes long, but I'm going to make it be about 30 seconds. So you can scroll through required skills. Awesome. I got them all. Key activities. I love them all. I enjoy it every day. And then users can empower their admins, okay, in different ways, get the scoop on the role, a lot of other cool resources. And then I take the exam. Hopefully, thank you. I'm going to answer these right. So the first question is, which of the following skills does a Salesforce admin need? User management, for sure. You do not, as an admin, need JavaScript or Apex. Unless you're Nick and you're going for developer, you can do that. What is one daily responsibility for a Salesforce admin? Not coding, not data entry per se, or project management, really. It's case management. So I believe that's right. Check that. Ooh, yes. So I got that right. And it's saying earn more badge. When I click on earn more badge here, it says, here's what we recommend next. So here, from what I've been taking recently, these are the different modules that it recommends. I can either select it directly from here, or I can click on earn more badges again, and it goes to a more kind of full list of where I can go in and select whatever I wanted to besides the recommended ones that were on there. So wanted to point that out. The other thing is you can get a daily reminder. So if I go over here to more on the left-hand side, there's an option for daily reminders. You can enable that and then put a time you want a reminder. But I will say it's not really a big time customization reminder. So if I go into here, and if I find the most recent one here, where is it? Right here. So if you can see here, it says Trailhead, learn something new today. So every day at 9 a.m., I get this prompt to say, hey, hello, learn something new today. It's not really especially personalized per module or anything like that, but it does give you a quick prompt. So if you're trying to stay on track with taking some Trailhead modules, this is a good way to kind of remind yourself at the right time of the day, whether it's 9 a.m. or 7 p.m. or whatever makes the most sense for you to get a Trailhead module done on your phone. Feel free to set that up in there. So, okay. And then the only other thing I would mention is it's on the Trailhead Go on mobile app. I have iPhones. It's been available on there forever, but it is also available on Android now. So if you have an Android phone and you have not been able to take advantage of Trailhead mobile app, Trailhead Go, you can do that now. Go to the Google Play Store and you can find it in there. So you can see I'm behind on notifications here today. So I'm leaving the meeting. Oh wait, no, I'm not leaving the meeting. Okay, so I'm leaving the meeting on my phone. That's what I'm doing. Stop my broadcast. Let's start there. All right, so any questions on the mobile app and how that works? Oh, all right, cool. Okay, so then really that was all of that stuff I wanted to go over. I mean, and then I had some honorable mentions. I won't honorably mention them, but I will include these, right? Just some things about the service setup assistant, Einstein bots enhancements, pretty cool stuff, broadcast messaging, and some sales stuff. Operating deal change highlights, you can easily see that. Lead score global models, that's pretty cool. So you can get quick and easy kind of Einstein stuff. Again, not just with Sales Cloud, no additional purchase necessary. Take advantage of it. And then some territory planning. This does require maps, but it's just kind of cool where it really optimizes territory assignments. So so that was all that I had from that. I did want to go over some final slides here, if you will entertain me a bit longer here. You guys can still see my screen, or no, you cannot right now currently, correct? I'm not sharing my screen currently, right?
No, you're not.
No, we just see.
So I was just talking a bunch of words. Perfect. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I got confused with sharing on my phone in here. So that was my release highlights. I did want to give away some gift cards for those of you that have stuck around. I appreciate you sticking around a little extra time here. So last time we gave away 4 gift cards to the Trailhead store. Hopefully those folks that won took advantage of that and got some pretty cool prizes. And I want to do the same today. I'm going to spin the wheel 4 times and have 4 winners. And then if you guys can email me your email address, and I will make sure that I send you a Trailhead store gift card so you can take advantage of that. So, all right. So again, I'm going to has anybody joined? I don't know. Has anybody joined new since earlier? I don't think so. But if you don't, is there anybody on that doesn't see their name on here? Okay, so I want to spin the wheel here. So I'm going to go full screen, and I'm going to spin this 4 times, and then we will have some winners here. All right, so you guys ready? I'm going to spin it now. You ready? Here we go. Awesome. So Brendan is the first winner of a gift card. So congratulations. Woo. Thank you for joining.
How much was that again? 1,000?
1,000-ish. Yeah, it depends on if you're counting pennies. What are we counting here? So I don't know. All right. So congratulations, Brendan. We're gonna spin this bad boy 3 more times to get 3 more winners. Just email me your email address. Are we ready for the next winner? Angela, right at the tip. It almost went past you, Angela. Good, congratulations.
All right, Angela.
Trailhead Store gift card coming your way. Just email me your email address, and we'll spin this bad boy 2 more times. Let's keep some winners going here. Congrats, you guys. All right, Shanoa, good job. Congratulations, Shanoa. Awesome. So awesome there. Congrats. I'll get your email address. And then one more winner. Let's do one more winner for the gift cards here. Oh. Ah, one of the riches. But it's Rick Esser won this time. Awesome. Good. Congratulations, Rick. I got 4 winners. So congratulations to the winners there. I'll get you guys your gift cards again. Email me at this email address, and I will get that gift card over to you. So appreciate you participating. Appreciate everybody joining, kind of deal. So I did want to kind of go through a few updates now. I'm not going to finish too late because I've sped this up a bit. But let me just kind of go through, before I go through any updates, does anybody have any questions about what we talked about, whether it's Breadwinner specific or any of the release highlights? Did I not touch on something that you wanted to ask about or hear something about or talk about from a winter release perspective? Touched on some good stuff, I hope. Everybody learned something, I hope, from that. All right, so let me give you some updates here then. Okay, so some closing remarks. So we'd be remiss without mentioning Trailhead Quest. I'm not going to go into it, but if you don't check that out every month, check it out. There's lots of cool prizes all the time in there. So make sure you're taking advantage of them. I technically I did that intentionally somewhat because I earned one during this session, because any of those quick looks that take 10 minutes, if you do any of those this month, you earn a special badge. So I earned a special badge during this session today. And those quick looks, they say take 10 minutes, but if you know Salesforce, it really takes about 30 seconds. so just be aware of that, and all the other cool stuff, check it out. Additionally, again, pledge 1%. If your company isn't doing it, talk to them about it. There's a link to it. This is a link on this page to it. It's pledging 1% of your company's equity, profit, product, or employees' time to nonprofit organizations as needed. So please take advantage of that if you're not already. And let us know if you do, and if you have gone back to your company and you're doing it now since we've been talking about it in the group meeting. Let us know. We'd be happy to continue to share that and make sure people realize the impact they could have. And a lot of times, I may bring it up before, your company might already be giving 1%, and this would just get them recognized from Salesforce for being at that level. So some upcoming events. I actually have 3 that I scheduled. Hopefully, I don't know if I'm overwhelming you guys here or what have you, but so the first one I did, again, I already mentioned, there's the Dreamforce to You. It's happening throughout the month of November and December. Apparently, Mark Benioff is going to do a keynote on Wednesday, December 2nd from 1 to 2 o'clock. So I scheduled a meeting for if anybody wants to join, and I'll share my screen and we can watch it together and chat while we're watching it about what they're talking about. And then I scheduled it till 3. So in case people want to kind of chat afterwards about what was discussed on during the keynote, if it's of interest. So we can kind of, be together, to some extent. We can't be in San Francisco, I figure we at least try to get together for the keynote, if nothing else. If anything else pops up that looks cool for us all to maybe engage in from a Dreamforce perspective, I'll create another event just like it did with the running event that I did the previous Saturday. So for folks to join. The holiday happy hour virtual has been out there for a while. So that'll happen on December 9th from 5 to 6. So hopefully you can join, get a cocktail from your fridge and join us. Let's kind of chat and catch up, that kind of cool stuff. And then the last thing, again, the giving back piece. We did this last year. It's a little more restrictive. So it's a little different than last year. But instead of doing it just all on Saturday, they're doing it. They usually just do it on one day on Saturday, but they're doing it across 3 days because they can't have more than 50 people on property at any given time on that cemetery property. So there's an official sign up sheet, and we as a group actually can only have up to 10 people. So the first 9 other people that sign up for this event, if you want to participate on Thursday, we're going to participate Thursday from 2 to 4. So if you're interested in doing that, RSVP to that event, and I will make sure that everybody gets properly registered with the Wreath Across America volunteer sign-up sheet officially. So if you're interested, again, make sure you're able to commit to it, and please, join me if you're able to. The other thing I want to mention is I can't hold those 10 spots. It has to be filled first. So I got to wait until people register, confirm that they've registered through our bevy event, through our event management event here. And then as soon as you do, I'll grab that slot for folks to take advantage of. But if those slots fill up prior to us getting 10 people, then we might not have full 10 people. So I don't know how quickly they'll fill up, but let me know as soon as you can. Go ahead and RSVP. That way I could get your name in there if you want to volunteer on that Thursday from 2 to 4 p.m. So, okay. And that's at the Jacksonville National Cemetery, which is about, northwest, close to the airport up there. So, okay. Any questions on the upcoming events? Working on something for January for a presentation perspective, but these are the ones that we have for the holiday for December. So, okay. Don't forget to share on social media. That's our Twitter handle for our group. So if you're going to tweet, make sure you tag that or mention that. And then hashtags that I usually recommend using is Trailblazer Community or or Salesforce or Ohana, so people know that we're out there doing some cool stuff in our community. And we already spun the wheel, so we're not going to spin anymore. Sorry, I guess it was 4 winners already in. So that's it. So I only went 7 minutes over. That's good. So again, I appreciate everybody sticking around a little bit later than the planned time frame. Hope you guys learned anything, learned some information through what Stony and Matt and Todd talked about, and then the release notes, or release highlights. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to reach out to me, reach out to Stony directly, or anybody else if you have any questions. And then stay engaged in the community, out there on our community group, chatter up there. So if you guys have any questions, comments, if you need support in any way, planning for an exam or anything of that nature, I did want to do a really quick shameless plug, but there's this new book out. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's called the Salesforce Career Playbook. Martin Gessner authored it, who, if you don't know who he is, he created Focus on Force that just about everybody uses to help them get certified. And he interviewed about 20 people in this and kind of captured a day in the life. And I was one of those people he interviewed. So if there's like 3 pages in here that talks through my normal day as a consultant. So if you want to kind of know what a consultant's life is, you can kind of get a feel for what my life is on a daily basis. So that I just throw that in there. So.
And Mark,
yes, Brendan.
Since you mentioned the Focus on Force, I've seen they've had a class on there too for it's like $500 or whatever to kind of intro into what it takes to be a consultant. Mm-hmm. Are you aware of that at all? And is it by the same guy? Is that worth looking into? Or?
Yeah, I mean, if anything that Focus on Force provides, I would definitely recommend considering it for sure. What I hear the most on Focus on Force is the practice exams are the bomb. You definitely want to take advantage of the practice exams, but they do have a lot of study reference materials, whether it's self-paced or like you said, maybe in a bit of a classroom, whether it's virtual. I would imagine at this point to definitely take advantage of something like that, because especially when you're in a classroom, you're engaged with other people that are in the same career path where you are currently, and you can kind of connect with those folks and kind of help grow in that and understand, from where you want to get to, if that is where you want to go. So definitely highly recommend anything Martin, provides out there. So, yep. Good question. Any other questions? Stony, any final comments from you?
No, just a thank you to everyone. And if you have any questions, I might be frozen. If you have any questions, feel free to reach me, email Stony@breadwinner.com. STONY. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Hope everybody has a good evening. And we'll hopefully see you at one of those 3 events, if not all of them, in December. So, all right.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Happy to do it.
Bye-bye.